This, Doug, you're a board member with the
Rich?
Kennedy Mine Foundation.
That I am, since we started.
Give us a quick 30 seconds about Kennedy Mine Foundation. What is it if people absolutely don't know in our community?
Well, I think it was probably 14 or 15 years ago, the Kennedy Mine Foundation was formed to acquire and own, maintain, and restore the property. And so we've got a board of directors that is chosen by a large segment of the population or different groups. For instance, the Board of Supervisors, City Council of Jackson, Sutter Creek, Mining Association, Historical Society, Land Trust, and then the volunteers also get to pick some directors. So it's not a closed group, it's a community group.
And I guess the Argonaut sits on one side of 8849, the Kennedy sits on the other. Is that correct?
Yeah, as you drive up the hill, you see the head frame from the Argonaut driving to the north, but the hoist is actually that house down the hill on the right-hand side.
Right.
So the Argonaut property is cut by the highway, and then the Kennedy is all that property you see off to the east, and the big head frame and the big office building.
Right. And all that property's tied in now. You have the beautiful property where the actual mine was operational, but you have the chapel down below and a lot of other things people can look at.
Yes, we have 152 acres. Main Street Theater Works has built an amphitheater, and if people have never been in that amphitheater, they've missed a treat.
And that's down on the Jackson Gate Road side.
Down at the Jackson Gate. We brought the old Clinton Catholic Church down in order to preserve it, and it's the anchor for perhaps a future 1860s mining town. And then the amphitheater is there with their facilities, and the old Broadway Street Bridge in Jackson was moved, and that's the access across Jackson Creek.
Now, we're going to talk about the surface mine tours, but before we do that, other activities happen there too. My daughter happened to get married there, and she took some beautiful pictures by the church down below, and then they took pictures after the wedding in the old house up above, which was where the main office was located. Is that correct?
Yeah, the large building you see from the highway is the old mine office, and downstairs was the assay room and the bullion room where the gold was actually melted and poured. The middle floor was offices, and the top floor were guest rooms for visiting dignitaries. And in those two rooms, there are 4 guest rooms. 2 are now restored by the questers, as they were in period, and the other 2 show how the miners lived, and they're set up as a boarding house.
Okay. Who was probably a couple of the most notable dignitaries that visited?
Well, we don't have any record of dignitaries, but we can be sure that Herbert Hoover owned the Lincoln mine at the time, so for sure that he would have been up here. The Lincoln didn't have fancy facilities, so it's quite possible the most notable dignitary that stayed in those rooms was Herbert Hoover.
I guess at that time it wasn't real easy to get there. You had to go probably by rail and then by buggy, I guess, to get up to Amador County.
Well, that's right. It'd take about a whole day to travel from San Francisco, and they'd finally end up on the train to Martel, and then down by old automobile or buggy. So because the travel was a full day up, then these dignitaries, it might be a stockholder, somebody on the board of directors, famous engineer, a politician, and they would then stay as guests of the mine and then take their day's travel, get back to San Francisco.
Okay. The surface mine tours, when do they resume?
We've started the surface tours. We run through March through October on Saturdays and Sundays. We're just weekends only. And from 10 o'clock in the morning until 3, and the tours run when somebody's there.
Okay. You mean when people show up or when a tourist guide is there?
No, when people show up. We have guides on site, have the place opened up, and then we do the tour. It can't go underground, it's flooded. So the tour is of the surface facilities only.
Okay. You can go around the head frame and you can get a good look at it, but no climbing on it or anything like that.
Yeah, I can't climb on it. If we get the funding and the time, we'd like to restore the platforms on that second story and then go into that building you see on the south side of the head frame. And that's a doable project, but Now we just go over and stand on the boards that are over the shaft, and you can look down, depending on the light, see the color of the shaft and the water.
And you have facilities there, if people want to bring in a lunch or something like that, they can also sit down and eat afterwards?
Oh, they can come and stay and visit before the tour. They can visit after the tour. The property's open from basically 10 until we get closed up and go home.
And do you have the museum opened up there? I'm talking about where all the old artifacts are.
The old change house is full of different artifacts and displays and a whole variety of information to look at. We would hope that the tours aren't too much in the way of details and numbers and facts, and if somebody wanted that detail numbers, then that's available to look up.
Okay, give me a number quickly about how people can reach you.
I've got to look.
We'll talk about it at the end of the show. You're going to stick around, so we got to take a break right now. We'll be right back with TSPN.
You're watching Amador County's local television network, TSPN.